Hey guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. I'm outside on a rather brisk day. The wind is like non-stop, crazy. And it's a little chilly out here. I'm very grateful for the little jacket I bought in Boston at Primark. But I just woke up from a nap. As you can tell, I look like hell, of course, when I decide to film a video to immortalize myself looking like this, right? But I figured that I am going to start packing my bag. As you can see, I'm in Atlanta. If you remember my old videos, you may recognize this backdrop here. I'm packing my bag to take a few things back to Las Vegas from the house here in Buckhead. And in packing my bag, I found some things I want to take home that I've never shown you guys, and I don't think I've actually really ever talked about. So I figured, time for a short story time, and this one will be short because it's cold out here. So, back in 2011 or so, I was taking pottery classes. I had taken some pottery classes in college back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I really was, my hands were itchy to start making stuff again. So I took a pottery class in Boston with my friend Daryl, who was amazing. And then I went on a cruise. I went on a cruise by myself with a large tour group, and I met a potter. And that's a very long, convoluted story about that relationship. But I met a potter, someone who is an artist, a pottery artist, on that cruise ship. And we started a long-distance relationship. And eventually, I ended up moving down to Florida, down in the St. Pete, Clearwater. It's actually called Palm Harbor, if you know that part of Florida. I ended up moving down to Palm Harbor. That was 2015, I think. And I spent 3 months, after about a year of a long-distance relationship, about 3 months face-to-face. That was about as long as we lasted. That's a long story, but this story is probably longer than the relationship. But, so I spent about 3 months working part-time, but for the rest of the day, just sitting in the studio making pots. Pottery. Mugs, cups, bowls. I love bowls. And just trying to practice throwing pots and on the wheel and trying to find my voice. Now, for the first few months, I spent my time practicing throwing pots like my partner was. I'll say boyfriend because he wasn't quite a partner. So I was trying to practice throwing pots in the same style as he was, which didn't really work out well. He had spent 30 years developing his own voice in clay. And so here I was trying to copy him. So, long story short, I made a lot of pots that really did not look like pots I was proud of, or that really spoke with my own voice. And so when that... Hold on one moment. That was a stiff breeze. I'm going to go in the house in a minute. So when the relationship ended, I wanted to start over again, and that kind of meant getting rid of a lot of the pots that I didn't like, that I made but really didn't speak with my voice. I keep saying my voice. Does that make some sense? I hope it does. One of my friends in Boston, Daryl, who was one of my pottery instructors, he said to me a long time ago, a potter's best friend can be a hammer. And what he wanted, and what he did, I should say, is that when he made some pieces that he did not like, that really didn't speak with his voice, I said that again, he would frequently just break them rather than send them off into the world with his signature on them. He didn't want pieces that he didn't respect and love to be out in the world speaking for him. And so he said, in his mind, that a hammer to break those pieces was a potter's best friend. So when this relationship ended, I did kind of go crazy ex-girlfriend and my old man eyebrows, and I broke purposefully not most of the pots, but a lot of the pots. I gave some away as gifts. I kept a few And wow, one sec, this breeze. All right, nature's gonna let me talk again. I'm gonna go in the house shortly because this is getting a little loud. And then of course it stops. So when the relationship ended, I kind of went a little cuckoo and decided that most of the pieces I had made in those 3 months really they weren't worthy of being sent out to the world with my signature on them. So I broke a lot of them. I kept some, and I wanted to, and I saved a few of them here in Atlanta. And so today, after that very short story time that made not a lot of sense, I figured I would show you some of those pots. First, there's a teapot, which I will show you that I'm very, very proud of. And hopefully next year, I'll be making enough money where I can get back involved in pottery. It's not an inexpensive hobby, especially in Vegas. There's not a lot of venues for throwing pots. So when I can afford it, I would like to get back involved in pottery. And this teapot, I think I'm going to use as a springboard in terms of style and theory to continue working on. And these cups, or these things I'm going to show you, are also examples of what I was practicing with in terms of altering thrown forms. And so I'm going to, I kept these 3 little things as examples so I can remember really where I want to move from. Okay, see if it made sense. Let me show you the teapot first. All right, there's the teapot. Ooh, a branch just fell near me. That's the teapot. I like the handle particularly. Very happy with that handle. I threw the handle as a ring on the wheel, and once it stiffened up a bit, I cut it, shaped it a bit, and then attached it to the pot. The bottom of the pot is just a simple bowl. Just a simple bowl with a little foot. I had the idea that teapots always drip, and potters always say their teapots don't drip. Well, they all drip. And so I wanted to incorporate the form or the idea of a drip in my teapot. And so if you see there along the top here, there's this little convoluted ridges, which I wanted to make it look like the rings that form outside a drip of water when it drops into the water. The ripples, that's the word I'm looking for. I want it to look like ripples on the surface of water. And I'm not a fan of symmetry, so I wanted the opening for the top to be sort of asymmetrical. And so there's the top and the lid. And so I'm really happy with that little teapot. It's really nicely balanced. It would pour nicely. It's not glazed, so I'm not gonna ever be able to use it. I think one day when I get to a studio where I can actually have access to a kiln that fires at cone 10, I will glaze it, but I like it bisqued. I like it as it is. So that is my first, that was actually my first teapot. I'd never made a teapot before. And so that's my teapot. I think it's really pretty. I like the handle really the most, and I really like the ripple form that I made as the top there. So that's my teapot. And these are some cups. And the idea behind, let me show you this one. These was, so I threw the cup, the taller cylinder in the middle, I threw that. And then this little piece here is also a small thrown form. It was a small bowl. And I cut and I reattached those. And the idea was that I would hold it sort of like this, as that little bulb nested in my hand. But I think this is the first one I did. I had thrown 2 small pots, and I think I broke them or did something, and I kept the pieces, and I decided to attach them. I think this is my favorite just aesthetically. So I wasn't sure if they'd end up ever being a cup, or if they would end up being some sort of larger ideas like this as a mixing bowl kind of thing. I don't know, but I really liked the form, and I wanted to eventually come back to these forms and these shapes in future pieces, and so that's why I kept them. They're not something I'd ever actually use, but I like the idea of them, and when I get back involved in pottery, I'd like to do something with like this, where I had 2 throne forms or more altered and connected. So those are these little cups. This is the one that, the first one I think I ever really did. And to me, it ended up looking like a toilet. But when I was holding it like my finger underneath here, my finger wrapped around the side, and I was holding it thinking, boy, that's a comfortable hold. Yeah, so there is an example of some of my sort of more experimental ideas where I want to continue with, and then my teapot. And then most of the other pieces I have a couple upstairs. Maybe I'll show you those if I can get a good shot of them. So there are my teapots and my cups. And in a second or two, you're going to see a picture of a cup that was actually my first thrown cup that I altered after throwing it. And it turned into a coffee cup I used quite often for a long time. It's somewhere in Las Vegas in a box. I don't know. But I'll insert that picture here. And yeah, you'll see it in a sec. So I found these 2 more things I want to pack up and bring back to Las Vegas. The first is this little bowl. Which, oh, hi girls. The girls are visiting. This is just a little bowl that I made. It's really very thin. And I am very happy with the glaze combination here. And I like this little edge, this little rim. I think that turned out well. And that was a little bowl I made. And this is a little jar that I thought turned out well. There's a little bit of a bubble here, but in the glaze, but no one will ever see it because this is going nowhere but my apartment. But it's a little jar. The pattern down here is called chattering. I'm not sure if it's coming in, if that's even focused, but it's texture in the clay and the glaze pooled around it. So I like that. It's a little jar with a little lid. There's a lid, and there's inside the jar. So 2 more things I'm gonna pack up, but I made those 2 things probably, I don't know, 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. All right, this is one other thing I kept that I'm gonna take with me to Vegas. It's a tumbler, a drinking glass or sort of thing. That is, the color is reading a little bit more blue, a lot more blue. In real life, it's a soft turquoise. But this was a test that I made that I really enjoyed, so I decided to keep it. It's called water etching. So if you see that there's a slight texture where the white part is raised a little bit, do you see that? I don't know if you can. But you throw the pot while it's drying. You put wax or shellac where you want the clay to remain raised. Then you use a wet sponge and you kind of dab away at the clay. And so there becomes a little raised texture wherever you have the wax or the shellac. So I made just little random patterns and then used underglazes on top of the clay and then continued to wipe away some. So this is the look I got. It's a tumbler, a good drinking cup, and I like it. So I decided to keep it. It's one of the few pieces that have survived that got actually fully glazed. So that's one more pot. Ta-da! Isn't this just beautiful? I think autumn in Georgia might even be nicer than autumn in Boston. I mean, hello, in Boston, we don't have gardenias blooming in the fall. But it's just a beautiful day here. And there is Rachel. Rachel is practically a cat. Hi, Rachel. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. We'll go for a walk? I love this place. Oh my God. This is my friend Steven's place. I lived here for a little bit. Look at this. Oh man, I just love autumn here in Atlanta. But the weather in Atlanta is so changeable. It can be like this and then tomorrow it might be 30 degrees. But there you go. Beautiful day in Atlanta. Hi. Hi, baby. Hi, honey. Hi, Violet. Oh, you're so pretty. And look at, is Rachel over there. Rachel. Rachel. Oh, Rachel is practically a cat. Can you say hi? Oh, look at this little dog. She's so sweet. Hi, Rachel. She looks like Audrey Hepburn. Oh, I love these puppies. I love them almost as, well, nowhere near as much as my cats. Hi, guys. Oh. Hi, guys. I'm on a plane heading back home to Vegas. I realized after filming today that I did not film anything of an ending to this video, so I wanted to just say goodbye now. I did add 2 short clips that I filmed the day before. Yesterday, it was just yesterday. It was like 70 in Atlanta, and I think I even mentioned it in one of the clips. It can be 70 in Atlanta, and the next day it can drop 30 degrees, and that's exactly what happened. But the day was too beautiful not to show you. So the 2 clips that you probably will either see just before this or just after this. I haven't decided yet. But in either case, you have a great night and fly safe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.